Ladies and gentlemen, another tournament match for your approval. Mystery Meat, our top 4 seeded Terran player, is going against Jakulangski, seed number 13 in Gauntlet Stage A, and he, of course, is Zerg here. He's already taken down one Terran before in Toyota Miguel in a 2-0 series, while Mystery Meat, meanwhile, has bullied the newcomer, Barisu, in a Terran versus Terran. So that is how they found each other here in this upper match. We are going to see which one of them will be moving on to the upper bracket a little bit further in, and facing off against, drumroll please, Dead Infested, who has been just making a total row of it. We'll see if he can come back later on against the next man. But actually, I do want to talk a little bit about the pick ban here. We do have that on your screen now. You can see that Mystery Meat has selected Decapitation as his first map. He selected it totally legitimately and not by mistake. Sometimes there's confusion with the new user interface we have for pick bans, but he's decided to roll with it. I gave him the option to reroll. Meanwhile, Jakulangski, he's been picking Paradise. He went ahead and picked that map. It has been a bit of a powerhouse, a fortress for Zerg players, and so it's not really a surprise that Jack would pick it. He's also very familiar on this map. If you guys remember way back when, like in the Tyrant's Tail Open qualifier, he went up against 3 Crow, and the map that he won in that series was on this map as well. Meanwhile, we will be ending on Genesis Y, a very fast-paced map, and so I would expect some more macro-oriented games for the first two, and if we need that third map, well, Genesis Y could just be where cheese decides our fate. Let's get into it, folks. We are about to kick our best of 3 off. And just like that, the countdown has initiated. Our players are ready. Our game is ready. Our tournament is ready. And here we go. We've got Jakulangski in the top left as, ooh, this is an interesting color. Is this straight up electric orange? No, this must be, is this peach? Oh my god, mango. I haven't seen that color in so long. Meanwhile, Mystery Me down here is the Zunwaldite Brown Terran. And so he will be spawning below Jakulangski at the bottom left. Jakulangski in the top left. And, yeah, we're going to have to see what ends up happening here. We did have a little bit of a, some lag here, some issues with the performance of the network or something like that. We're not really sure because, obviously, Jakulangski is in the Philippines. I'm on the east coast of USA, and Mystery Meat is on the west coast. So, Meat and I's connection is fine, but maybe Jakulangski's has some issues reaching us. Of course, this is a peer-to-peer networked game, and we are using a new version of CrownLink that just came out very recently, courtesy of Jesse and Veek7, the homies. Mostly Jesse, as far as I'm aware, but Veek7 does help out with some of the server stuff. Now, Jakulangski, in that game that we didn't end up finishing because of the network issues, we ended up seeing Jakulangski go for a hatch first, and he's already changing it up into a Larvosk. So Mystery Meat also went for a Stockade opener into double Starpad Wraith. And you can see he's doing it again. At least the first Starpad is indicative of that style. He's still harvesting gas with 2 workers. And I predict he's basically going to run his same strategy like he did before. Now, Mystery Meat will be scouting the wrong way, and most likely box scouting. We don't see that he's queued up any orders yet. I was going to say messages. He's messaging his Mason to move to the top right. But Larvosk into pool for Jack, I think, means that we're going to end up seeing a lot more of the early aggression. And if that happens, say there's some Zeth spam, well, there's the potential for the sort of light early military that Mystery Meat's relying on to get overwhelmed. I don't know if this is some kind of meta read. He's kind of gambling that Mystery Meat's just going to run back the same strategy. Whenever you have a game that gets like terminated due to, in this case, network play, or in the case of like somebody having a disconnect or something, which maybe was actually what happened. It's hard to tell in a peer-to-peer game like this, but when you have a situation like that, there is the open question of, is he going to do the same strategy as before? And here we see Mystery Meat staying the course, but Jakulangski deciding to stick it out. Now, we are, of course, talking about not just a rematch in terms of there was a game that was played, and then we didn't end up seeing them complete that game, but also in the Tyrant's Tail Open qualifier, which I referenced earlier when talking about Jakulangski versus 3 Crow, Mystery Meat was responsible for sending Jack down to the Shadow Realm, aka the lower bracket. So there's a little bit of history between these two players, where Mystery Meat was not exactly a favored seed going into the Tyrant's Tail Open qual. He had not been playing very much, but he qualifies in first place, and the only time he dropped a map was actually, I think he dropped 1 map to Shopkeeper Dog in a TVT set, and 1 map to Dead Infested, his very first map back. And that was where he decided to then he went up and just says, I'll just reverse sweep him. Of course, Dead Infested waiting in the wings, hoping that Mystery Meat makes it over there so he can continue to practice his PVT and see if he can make stuff happen. Now, we do have the Mason actually getting in and doing a scout here. It will end up getting picked apart. You do have that +2 weapon range when shooting down a cliff. And this time around, the Zeths do end up leaving the area. I will note, the Zethra cores were what actually revealed the Wraiths the last time around. So when he comes down here and he sees 2 Mavericks, I would wonder, like, is he thinking the same thing as before? Is he thinking this is the same exact play? He's going to add a 3rd Kagrant, most likely going to be a Larvosk, but it could also end up being something more anti-air related. It's not in an ideal position. Now, that being said, the Wraiths have already begun their due diligence, and the workers are not burrowing to avoid pain. Here come the Quas, 3 workers down. We're going to see a 4th worker, 5th worker get killed because that one was the wounded one that was burrowed and did not restore enough HP to avoid getting double tapped there. Interesting breakpoints we're seeing on Mystery Me. He comes out with 3 Wraiths because he knows that he's dealing, 30 damage a pop, and workers in Cosmonarchy do have extra health, so 55 HP. You're dealing 60 damage to him, that means they die in 2 hits. So that is actually an interesting little adaptation there where you can see that Mystery Meat goes off specifically knowing he can double tap the workers with that Wraith count. So, nice little optimization there. He knows what's up. That is the same for versus Scribes as well. Triple Larvosk on one base with the hatch popping out a little bit later than it did before. That is an option for Jakulangski to try to power on to a worker advantage later on in the game once he feels safe. The Spraith covering his mineral line over here is nice for now, but as the Wraith count grows, we are going to eventually see those Quasilisks get bursted down. The individual Spraiths aren't going to be enough. The Shamans are already deployed as well. These units heal air and ground targets in a very wide aura. It's actually 8 radius range, like 8 weapon range almost of healing when it's deployed like it is right now. So you can see the Wraiths are now 8 strong. They're going to move on in. They will end up getting heckled a little bit, but they can see the scouting. They can just path in and see the strength of the army, and then they can fall back and get repaired by the Shaman. So, information-based plays that require you to sustain some damage, as long as the unit survives, the healing is free. The Shaman just heals it for free. So, second Shaman on the way as well. That is going to be some very intense healing. Now, these Monuments of Sin do block ground access to this pathway. You can see Mystery Meat trying to make use of that by putting his Shamans over here and knowing that his opponent isn't really going to be able to do too much. So now he can charge in, pick a couple of units, and fall on back. He sees that the Quasilisk count hasn't really grown since the last little bit. He's augmenting his bio as we see a 2nd Spraith and a 4th Larvosk, as well as a Hydrith Den coming online here for Jakulangski. But look, we're already seeing what Mystery Meat is all up for. In the last game, he did this too. He went triple Fulcrum follow-up for mass scrapyards so that he could maybe go for the Blackjack Shaman comp. And meanwhile, he's just got some Cyprians back here. He's got obviously some bio starting to set up his natural, continuing to pick some more Quasilisks over here, and a 2nd Spraith no doubt coming online here from that Kagrant. Jakulangski hasn't really been able to build up too much of a military advantage in this situation. With the Hydrith Den done, that might indeed help him versus the Wraith Menace, and he does have a lot of Quas, but I don't know how he's going to be able to engage upon the Bio army, especially if more Cyprians get made, and of course as the Blackjacks continue to come out, that is going to eventually out DPS the Quasilisk-based army that Jack is going for now. But Quas Hydra is a pretty versatile, fairly mobile DPS-oriented comp, and now you're going to see the weakness of going air heavy. What are you going to do in this situation? Are you going to allow the enemy to just walk around with 30+ units moving to the other side of the map? That's what Jakulangski is asking Mystery Meat right now, and there he goes, almost picking off one of the 16 Wraiths, and every time those Wraiths come in to maybe do some kind of engagement, the Quas are going to be able to take those pot shots at him. Now, the ground game really, really, really low in terms of the unit count here for Mystery Meat. He is a little bit brittle. He might be playing a little bit with fire, and Jack, I think he smells blood in the water. He's going to fall on back and shut down the mining at this natural. There's not really much that the Bio Army is going to be able to do here as long as Jakulangski keeps his units a little bit further back. Now, the Wraiths are starting to pick off reinforcements. This is a fine decision to make. Now, you can see the eggs being killed in the meanwhile. That doesn't give you a refund if the egg is killed. So Jack not canceling the Bactalisk that was being made there might be a little bit of a problem. He does have one that is up and a Phalanx. That was really important. Getting a Palladium add-on instead of another Scrapyard, a very key adaptation here as the 18-strong Wraith count continues to just butcher reinforcements as they come. We're going to need to see Jack update his rally points. He seems to be content with just shutting down the mining at the space for a little bit, doing a little bit of worker damage, and of course, as he suffers some worker damage himself, oh no, he made a Larvosk instead of a Spraith. I think that's actually going to bite him in the ass. He doesn't have any anti-air units over here. No units at all. He needs to burrow these workers or it's just going to be a total massacre. In fact, even despite the burrow, it looks like it's going to be exactly that. That Kagrant is going to be sniped. We are going to see some more damage. I'd love to see Mystery Meat target down that Larvosk. He definitely had ample time to do so, but you can see right now, now, so Skithicore coming out. There will be some splash damage. The Bactylisk even getting a little bit of hits in there as well. And now the workers can unburrow and get back to mining. A very important save there for Jack. So both players kind of attacking each other's economy right now, preventing them from scaling it up. But as you can see over here, the Hacharovsk is finishing for the third base, and Jakulangski, he's kind of expecting to be able to continue to apply pressure. He's only made a couple of Skithicores so far, and I think the Shamans are going to be able to see down here that the units are kind of bumbling a little bit. The Wraiths are definitely going to confirm yet another move out is on the cards, and that Wraith is very, very dangerous, so you can see immediately pulling back. Jakulangski, very interested right now. Jack is very interested in trying to fall on back and conserve. Does end up trading one Skith for one Blackjack, and, you know, makes his opponent think twice about maybe leaving his area undefended. Do we see any anti-air? No watchdogs or anything of the sort. Actually, though, the Wraiths come in and immediately clean those up. If the Skits get out of hand in terms of the count, the Wraiths will just start to fly like paper. It'll be a total mess. Now, any damage dealt to these Monuments of Sin is permanent. They do not restore shields because they are unpowered. Should point that out there. You can see maybe Jack is thinking about bringing them down and then getting rid of the Shamans in that spot. This is going to provoke Mystery Meat to scout north, and he will see this unmanned, unstaffed position here. That third base is not going to be developing anytime soon. And you can see here, Jack is thinking twice about that situation. He's like, oh shit, I should have been maybe protected this. He might be able to actually save this, believe it or not. Either that or Mystery Meat's going to have to trade for taking a couple of hits on the Wraiths here. He looks like he will be able to pick off the hatch. Obviously, Jack maybe having a little bit of a slower reaction than he should have. I think if he had reacted almost immediately to seeing enemy units in that area, he could have potentially done that. Now, there are a couple of Lakizilisks in this position. They should definitely be burrowing if they're going to do anything. There we go. They are going to go ahead and get some damage dealt to these phalanxes. Nothing too significant there. As the morass of Zerg units continues to move forward, we do need to see this Monument of Sin popped open, I think, for better army movement. But right now, the Zerg units can actually squeeze on through there. And there you go. He's going to go ahead and try to dive on it. Now, looks like another Wraith going to get picked off in the rally. There were a number of phalanxes here. It looks like we've got 5 or 6 phalanxes with this army. It's going to be very difficult for the Zerg player to actually break this position. I'm really glad that we're seeing a macro game between these two, because I was kind of worried that Mystery Meat might just outclass Jack in the early stages of the game, but he's trying something a little bit cheeky. Wraith, like Bio Wraith into a move out, and these Lakizilisks not burrowing. That's a huge misplay. Now, the Ancials are moving out and not really being most effective right now. So that is a bit of a misfire from Mystery Meat. But we are going to see him clean house with the splash damage of his phalanxes. Another one going ahead and deploying. Zet's pouring on in. Another Lakizilisk moves forward. The Wraith's now coming to clean up from the backstab, and that is going to be utterly devastating for the Zerg player. The Ancial's not bringing out with them, so I suppose it might be a little bit of time before those Lakes get cleaned up. More Quas coming in here to heckle the... it's still 16 Wraiths, it's no joke. So you're not going to be able to fight them off like that. But now, with that middle ramp taken out, this is going to afford Jack an easier time to move on forward. And look at that, the Ancial does come back. They clean house on the ramp. And now, Tier 2 on the way for Mystery Meat. Now, another force has come on by. They are going to start working on the Monuments of Sin in the middle of the section. Now, that is going to allow Mystery Meat to potentially get flanked here, but there is no other force coming in from that other side. The Shaman's still kind of isolated over here, and now you are going to end up seeing Jakulangski maybe find a perfect timing to move south and just go straight into the enemy force. He might even dive on these Shamans. Remember, those are detectors while they're deployed. No Lake is with that army, though. Meanwhile, the Wraiths are all cleaning up a bunch of Quas off to the north, and this army is going to descend upon it, but the reinforcements are just too many. Way too many units here for Jakulangski to deal with. He does end up moving a couple of units over here. They will harass and slow down the development of that third base for the Terran player, as Jack's own third base is once again up. But he's mostly just using it for army production, and it looks like he might have just right-clicked them on a unit that then died or lost vision or something, so most of his army is just kind of hanging out in the middle of nowhere. He's going to have to fall on back now. Maybe saturate that base. A couple workers being made. 6 Lake is as well in production for our Zerg player. I'm liking what I'm seeing for Mystery Meat right now, but he is going to start to deplete his main, so it's a good thing that he was able to secure that third base, and it looks like he's preemptively actually saturated it a little bit. When it finishes up, that'll be very nice. The Ancial's now scrambling to get into a more defensive position. A third one comes on in to help stack up the shields. This kind of army is very, very difficult for the Zerg player to deal with. He hasn't built that much air units, and he's burrowing the Lakas with no front line. They're just getting torn asunder by the Blackjacks. I think that might be it. I don't know how Jakulangski's going to be able to repel this particular match. And this composition, just seeing everything from Tier 1, besides, I guess, Covenant, you know, everything from Tier 1 is out. Wraiths, Ancials, so 2 out of 3 units of the star pad. We got the whole mix and kibosh of Shamans and a bunch of bio units from the Stockade. And then, of course, Phalanx Blackjack. I mean, that's just a bizarre combo, but he's using a little bit of everything. The kitchen sink hits Jakulangski right in his Zerg head. And I think at that point, Mystery Meat is going to be able to take his map pick. GG called. missed up 1-0. I think that's about what we would have expected given the matchup here. As we see the way that things have gone, yeah, Mystery Meat just had a game plan, and Jakulangski didn't punish the brief period of weakness, the opportunity there that he might have had to exploit the fact that there weren't that many units on the ground. Maybe if he had all of those quas dive bomb onto the ramp when he attacked the natural, that might have also been an opportunity for him to completely wipe out the ground production and then make it so that it's just a straight up fight versus air. That might have been something for him to think about, but despite that, we are going to be going into game number 2, which will be Paradise. Let's see if Jack can bring it back. We are getting into map 2, Paradise. Jakulangski wants it to be so. That way we can go into Genesis Y and see what is going on. Jakulangski in the top right. We got vertical spawns again. That's kind of interesting. He is the, Tyrian Purple Zerg? Yeah, okay. And we've got Mystery Meat in the bottom right. Oh my goodness. This is a Terran player, of course, but what kind of color is that? It's either Dark Spring Green or Midnight Green. I'm going to say Dark Spring Green. Oh, but it was Midnight Green. God damn it. So with vertical spawns, Mystery Meat could be favored in trying yet another round of his star pads. Remember, Decapitation is a map that is, in fact, rotationally symmetric, right? Which basically means that its top left and bottom right are the same, like mirrored, basically, like XY mirror. And then the top right and bottom left are the same XY mirror. And it's supposedly like each side of that is kind of symmetrical, but it's as if you rotated it. And so it's a very different kind of symmetry than XY, where everything is the same. If you want an example of full, like, basic symmetry as opposed to rotational, then you'd look at Blackwater Bastion, right? Or something like that, whereas Paradise and indeed Decapitation are rotationally symmetric maps. Decapitation, of course, a port of Shakura's Temple, commissioned by 3Crow, done by myself, and then Paradise, this map, done by Biddy B. It's a port of Dante's Peak, so check that one out, I suppose. We are going to see the Larvosk opener once again. Mystery Meat is banking a lot of Espene. I wonder if he's just going to try the same strategy again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, but he actually has a lot of money already. So if he was going to try it, I feel like he might have done it a little bit sooner, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see something interesting afoot. He might be going for like, Covenant-focused bio or something like that. Meanwhile, he's going to scout his opponent first, and Jack is going the wrong direction. I have noticed that most Cosmonarchy players, if they don't send out a double scout like Krankendow did, of course, shout out to Krankendow. What a legend. Hopefully he comes back. And, if you're not Krankendow, though, you're usually scouting with only one worker. And then what you're going to end up seeing more often than not is, well, let's just say you're going to be seeing the box scout come out. And indeed, it looks like that's actually not going to be the case, right? So one of the things you can read is that, oh, my opponent scouted me, right? And so he scouted me super fast. That means he's probably in a close position. Now, this Mason's lurking around. This is suspicious. Is he going to drop an anchor? He's got 400 minerals, my man. Adding the Covenant off of one Maverick. Well, I guess 2 Mavericks, right? And let's see what he ends up doing. I'm half expecting him to go ahead and drop an anchor behind there, but instead, okay, this is a very greedy build, a very ballsy build, because remember, we have seen Jack just send a couple of Zets across the map, a Savant coming out, so he's going to be going for, I imagine, like a very hyper defensive position with an anchor. When you put a Savant in and just let it charge up and stuff in the middle of fights, it's pretty bad. Now, pretty bad for your opponent, I should say. And we are going to see a Stim Maverick, a couple of them. We see this Droleth scouting out the fact that there's a Mason behind its mineral line. That's very strange. The Savant does come out. Zets are on the way. Yeah, well, that one Maverick is pretty wounded as well. And Eidolon now coming down. Not a Maverick, not a Huracan. This could be the end of Mystery Meat. He's really got to watch out. He's trying to use the concave. No! Jakulangski targeting the stockade. Oh my god, he doesn't even pick the actual worker there. Or the Maverick. That is from bad to worse. He has no more combat units moving across the map right now. Although he is making 6 more Zeths. And we'll get one single Mason. But my goodness, that was a foible. That was a fumble, if you will. An opportunity for him to get some good damage dealt. Doesn't cancel the active progress of the Ministry either, so... All right, let's see what if Jack can salvage this situation. He's sending maybe good Zeths after bad here. You do have to be cognizant of that. He's going to get heckled a little bit here. That Ministry, it is going to finish. It is going to finish. No, it's not! The last second! Okay, he gets something done. Another Mason will just pop in here and tap it up. It's at 99%! It needs 5 health! But more Zets are coming. More Zets are coming, Mystery Meat. Are you prepared? Oh, I think you are, my man. I think you've got just enough. And there you go. The Ministry does end up getting finished. Zets are going to go ahead and see that. you know, it's kind of satisfying to leave it on almost full completion there from Jack's perspective. He's like, yeah, I got it, but do you have anything else, my man? Do you have anything else? Vornath on the way. A lot of gas banked up here for Jack. He could pivot into mass air. And, you know, there's the 2 savants, but it's predominantly been, you know, like light bio. It's too early to call what the comp is going to be from Jack's perspective. He's got 16 Zeths, and for that reason alone, we're going to see Hurricanes and another savant. The splash damage is going to be noticeable. You can see 4 of them getting picked off, but, you know, the rest of them are very, very heavily bruised. Now, that Ministry is going to probably want to lift off here. Well, we'll see. Maybe Jack is going to be sworn off of it sooner than that. Okay, well, reduced to only 6 from 16. Not ideal. A couple quads standing guard in case there was a star pad, but he got inside the base pretty deep. He probably saw the double covenant, and maybe he saw this extra stockade in the back, which is making a vestry. So I like Mystery Meets Sim City. You know, I approve of that. As that's moving all the way over here in case there's a move out. They can basically come in here and flank the position and potentially win the game for Jack, or at least clear the ground army. As Terran, don't get it twisted. You're in a position of a winning position from this spot. But if you move out too soon and your army gets torn up by a Zerg player that hasn't been going for mass workers, which is indeed the case for Jack, he's going mass units instead, then you can absolutely be sent off to oblivion. And I ain't talking about Beaver's map. So you got to watch out for that. Genesis Y, remember, lurks in the darkness. We'll see if anything else can happen here. We do have a couple of Vorvs. Do love me some Vorv. I don't know, though. This does feel like a pretty defensive little ball of infantry, and there's not really any ranged damage. He is making some more quads. We'll see if he waits for them, because obviously they move slower than the rest. Mystery Meat might be getting a little bit too far away from his safety den there. He sees the units moving out. He wants to give it a shot. The Shaman coming out to add some mass healing to the army, and that is going to be very, very useful indeed. You can see a nice couple of picks on the back end there. So much dead Zeth. So much dead Zerg. Jack said he is not red, but his army sure is. Getting absolutely torn asunder. We've got 4 Larvosk, 6 larva production every 14 seconds when you factor in the 2 hatch, of course. I like what I'm seeing in that respect. We are going to see a couple extra stockades be added over here, and of course a watchdog for anti-air in both the main and the natural. Makes a lot of sense if you ask me. What are we going to see when it comes to... Oh, he's trying to make some Vorvs. He's got some Quas out now as well. He moves forward, very ballsy by Jack, but does he have enough? He still needs to break down these Savants, and his Vorvs are not in a position to deal with that. He steps forward a little bit further. He's trying to bring down the last Shaman, the last source of healing, and it's narrowly going to escape with only 4 health. More Zerg units moving across, but there are not that many of them. Does Mystery Meat smell that in the water? Does he know that for now he might be able to move out? He's still got this Mason here the whole time, just occasionally looking over there and seeing the worker saturation. Free info that maybe he's not really supposed to have, going up to 6 Larvosk. That's 8 production on 2 base. I mean, for those who don't understand this, right? Imagine you're a Protoss player with 2 bases and you're adding 8 gateways. That's kind of what I'm talking about here, right? Except you make units twice as fast out of the Larvosk as you tend to do when it comes to the gateways, right? So not that it's the same as adding 16 gates or whatever, but like it's something like that. It would be like if you saw a 10 gate off of the Protoss. Watchdog is going to be put down here at 12 o'clock. That will be scouting the position, most likely, or it's just going to block the 3rd base, right? Keep watch on it. It is called a Watchdog. More Quas are out. Not very much on the front line. Gotta watch out, though. The Savants definitely providing some splash damage. Jack is keeping the pace up of the game, right? He's forcing his opponent to stay on 2 bases for now. The problem is he doesn't really have his own, his own response to that. As long as the ground army is pulled away from the main area, then the Watchdogs can definitely be isolated. You can see Jack is started prepping that. He's going to dive in now. He'll pick that Watchdog, and as he does so, he's pulling back away from the ground army, and Mystery Meat not actually responding to this right now, losing a couple of workers. He is up by 20 almost, so it's not the end of the world. He force commits onto the ground force here, not really caring too much about the raid on his workers. And you know what? He is utterly dominating the ground game. He might just decide to move ahead here, but now he's realized, oh my god, this whole time, the Masons were under attack. The Masons were under attack. That's what his advisor should be saying. Instead, it's just, now I got to put up with this too? Yeah, whatever the Masons say. Trying to mass repair that Watchdog. It looks like it will be successful. The Nathakor is simply not having enough DPS to deal with that. Very unfortunate for Jack to not pick that one, but you know what? He definitely brought down this game in terms of the saturation there, and maybe he can hold on as the Bioforce begins to move out. Another watchdog being constructed. Third Ministry is indeed leaving the nest. And the Zerg army is about to be met with a shocking revelation. The Terran is leaving the base. The Terran is leaving the base. They're moving across the map, and they have the Savants to just penetrate the Quaz and Zeth-born army. We got some Lakis coming. There is at least that, but they're a little ways off from being completed. So by the time they come out, I don't actually think Mystery Meat will have to worry too much about them. Remember, the third bases are completely covered here, right? He's pretty sure there's nothing over here at 3 o'clock. And he knows that there's nothing at 12, and now he's built this over here to reveal that the typical third base that he's actually taken is not taken just yet. That Mason still alive. This Mason up here in the natural, still alive. I don't think that it would have actually seen like the Lake has come out or anything, but yeah, I mean, Jack is almost able to get tier 2. Maybe he can actually stall out. If he can stall out, if we can see him go for some kind of tier 2 move. He's just getting torn up. It's like a meat grinder down here with all those Savants. There's so many of them. I think this is the first time I saw somebody make more Savants than Eidolons. Mystery Meat trying his best to pave the way, using all the... he heard me say, right? Oh, he's used all the Covenant units, or he's everything except for the Covenant units, right? The Covenant add-on was the only one he didn't make out of tier 1 in the last game. I guess technically he didn't make the quarry or whatever, but, who's counting that? Now, the Lakers are going to go ahead and burrow. They will be able to eat up the Hurricanes, and especially with the Vorv and Snare, that's actually working out pretty well for him. Remember, these Hurricanes are going to get a lot of splash damage taken out, but remember also that the Shamans are restoring everything else here. So this is looking like only 3 Lakers. That's not going to be enough. Remember, the Shamans act as detectors as well. You got to have to respect that range. More Lakers on the way. 4 more coming. 18 pairs of Zeths. I mean, I like that idea all in all, but it does feel like pretty soon here we are going to see jakulangski. I guess he's pretty light on the mineral saturation in his main. He could even make more workers and potentially do a little bit more for a little bit longer. Let's see. Stepping a little bit too close to the sun there. Savant's wings get clipped. Lake is moving forward. Remember, they are within detection range. Oh my god, it's a bloodbath. All the Zerg just going the way of the dodo. Plenty of Mystery Meat, mech, and army, still operational here. I say mech, look at this. That's 8 stockades on 3 bases. Man's about to do a death push. No more Lakers, no more crowd control. Jack, I'm afraid that you did not spend your gas very wisely. You do not have tier 2. You do not have a bunch of Lyrilisks. You don't even have a bunch of Likizilisks. Those 2 units start with L, and so too does your match outcome here, my friend. Sorry, I won't be so mean. The point is, Jack is definitely about to get mopped up here. Mystery Meat was just too mysterious. Just too mysterious. He's a little bit cautious about pushing in, but you can see he's just massing up the 5 Shamans that he's got. He's still rocking 9 Savants. The crowd control going to be more than enough to deal with that. And remember, he's added 5 Cyprians in the meanwhile. He is just absolutely wrecking face. So a Gorgakor on the way. More Lake is on the way. Workers getting sniped on the extremities. Screw extremities. He's actually got control of most of this position. And look at that. The Lakizilisk almost dead. Like, it's going to be a rough go of it. Now, okay, this little splintered off group is going to get taken care of. But, oh, man. Oh, man. Yeah, just charge forward. You see him. You see him with that Shaman. And we do have a couple of Nats out, but I feel like there's just too much bio. There's just way too much Ahmed. Mystery Meat living up to his clan tag. He's the only member of Clan Ahmed. And for a reason, he uses them. Hatteras going down at the natural. Absolutely nothing going down elsewhere. Oof, it's rough. I mean, I think there was there's a Nath run by in the natural there. He sees that he's not really able to do too much. He's going to call GG. Mystery Meat will proceed 2-0 to face Dead Infested. It's exactly what we thought was going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you enjoyed the cast. I think if I had to say anything about that match, I would say Jack looked like he might have been able to be lethal in the early stages of that game. It was slim margins, but even then, never taking a third and also never clearing the little positions there that Mystery Meat used to know that he was never taking a third. That meant that he was kind of readable, right? Like, he might not have known, oh, he's going Zorkiz, right? He might not have known, oh, he's going to add Lakis and move out at this time. But he knew he wasn't going for a more conservative position. Now, I know Cannoli likes to do, like, 2-base tier 2. We saw that Jack actually could have afforded that if he just stuck to the pool. But then, like, also, added a couple more workers to really saturate that the main and the natural in terms of the mineral lines. He definitely could have built a few more workers. I know normally I'm like, you're building too many workers, guys, but not Zerg. Almost never Zerg. Jack is not building too many workers. I think if he adds a couple more workers and he's able to spike up to tier 2, even though he's on 2 bases, he can use that to dissuade any sort of move out from the Terran player. Because at tier 2, you get access to Lyrilisks that can duel with Savants a lot easier. You get access to, I mean, I would even say like Protathalors, maybe Sycrilisks, if you can get a good engagement. They're pretty slow, but they are a lot beefier now in terms of their HP, and they do come 2 per egg. So it could be a cost-efficient choice. You think about, obviously, like, even, I said Protathalors for the range, but, Mutas with enough mobility could potentially do something. The anti-air wasn't very strong for Mystery Meat, and that 1-air raid did do a lot of damage. But that's going to be it for GG and Mystery Meat. Well, he's going to have to play against Protoss. Terran, now Zerg. Okay, he's done with that. Moving on to Protoss, the final boss, Dead Infested. Before if whoever wins there has to play hit him up. So that's the real final boss waiting in the wings. But we'll find out what the results of that are all going to be later on. GG, boys.